Greetings and salutations. I am Captain Tom Mingacia, United States Army retired and the former adjutant for Base Support Battalion North out of Camp Deering, Kuwait. So folks, you decided to go on a walk in the woods and all of a sudden you realize things don't look so familiar to me. And so what happens? You found yourself lost in the woods. Well, what I decided to do is put together a video that hopefully will share some tips with you, so if you find yourself lost in the woods, you'll be able to find your way back home.
Today we're taking a journey through these beautiful woods, but what if you suddenly found yourself lost here? It can be a terrifying experience, but staying calm and knowing what to do can significantly increase your chances of survival. Now in this video, I'll share essential tips and strategies that will help you survive for at least 5 days if you ever get lost in the woods. So let's go ahead and dive right on in. Now, the first things first. If you realize you're lost, the most important thing to do is to stay calm. Panicking only makes things worse. What you want to do is you want to take a deep breath, assess your situation, and remember that you can survive if you follow some key steps. Step 1, stop and assess. If you're lost, don't just keep wandering aimlessly through. Instead, stop and think. Try to remember how you can get where you are or how you got where you are. And if you have map and compass, use them to determine your location. And if you don't, and you probably won't because that's why you're lost, you want to find a safe spot to sit down and gather your thoughts. Now, step 2, you want to signal for help. If you have a mobile phone, try to call for help or send a text message with your GPS location. If you can't get a signal, create visible signals. Now you can do this by bright clothing, a whistle, or even create a signal fire if you have the means. Remember, 3 signals in a row is a universal distress call. Now, speaking of fires, the step 3, finding or making shelter. If you're going to be out for a while, you need to protect yourself from the elements. Look for natural shelters like caves or overhangings. If none are available, you can create a shelter using branches, leaves, and any materials you can find. Step 4, find water. You can survive for days without food, but only a couple of days without water. Look for signs of water, sources like animal tracks or vegetation. If you find a stream or river, make sure to purify the water by boiling it or using purification tablets if you happen to have those available. Step 5, foraging for food. Now, while food isn't your immediate concern, it is still important to know what you can eat in the wild. You want to focus on high-energy foods like nuts, berries, and edible plants. Now, you want to be very careful and make sure you can positively identify any plant before consuming it. If you're unsure, it is better to go without. Step 6, you want to stay put. If you're lost, it's often best to stay in one place, especially if you send out signals. This makes it easier for resources to find you. Now, moving around can make it harder for searchers to locate you, so unless you're in immediate danger, hold tight. Now let's talk about your mental resilience. That leads us into step 7. You want to stay positive. Keeping a positive attitude is crucial for survival. You want to engage your mind by making a plan, thinking about what you'll do when you get out, and focusing on your next steps. It is easier to let fear take it over. But remember, you got this. Finally, step 8. You want to stay warm and dry. If the weather changes, it is essential to maintain your body temperature. You want to use leaves and moss or anything you find to isolate you from shelter. Keep your clothes dry, and if it gets wet, try to find a way to dry them, even if it takes some time. Now, as we wrap up, you want to remember these things, that preparation is the key. Always let someone know your plans before heading out into the wilderness, and consider carrying a survival kit with you with the essentials like a first aid kit, a fire starter, water purification tablets, and a whistle. So let's just recap. You want to stay calm. If you find yourself lost in the woods, remember, stay calm. Take a few moments to breathe deeply. Panic can cloud your judgment. Try to visualize your route. Think about landmarks you pass or how long you've been walking. Signal for help. Use bright clothing, gear to make you visible, and lay them out in an open area if you have that opportunity. If you have a whistle, use it. And always remember, 3 bursts or blasts is the universal sign of distress. If you don't have a whistle, your voice can work, but it can tire you out quickly. You want to find shelter. Lean-tos, debris huts, A-frame shelters are effective. The goal is to isolate you from wind and rain. Choose a spot from potential hazards like falling branches or flooding areas. You also want to find water. And some signs of water is you want to look for animal tracks leading downhill or vegetation that appears lush. That often indicates water resources. Purification methods, once you do find water. If boiling isn't possible, you can also filter water using clove or sand, cloth, any cloth, but boiling is the safest method. You want to remember to forage for food. You're going to get hungry, but you only want to eat identifiable edibles. Familiarize yourself with local edible plants before heading out. Resources like field guides or smartphone apps can help. Not everyone like me served over 26 years in the military and picked up various survival tips. You want to also keep in mind protein sources. If you're comfortable with small game, it can be trapped or caught using makeshift snares. Fish can be caught with improvised hooks. And if you're really quick, you can just snatch them up out the water. You want to remember to stay put, create a safe area. If you choose to stay put, make your location as safe and comfortable as possible. Keep your area tidy to avoid attracting unwanted animals. You don't want to be sleeping and find a bear, snuggling up with you, trying to stay warm. Now you also, just as importantly, you want to stay calm, stay positive, engage in positive visualization. Imagine yourself being rescued and how you'll celebrate. You want to create a routine, a daily routine, to keep your mind focused. This includes collecting firewood, checking your signals, or foraging. Stay warm, and you can do this by layering. If you have extra clothes, wear layers to trap heat. Avoid cotton as it retains moisture. Stick to wool or synthetic materials. As it relates to survival safety, if you have to manage to start a fire, ensure that it's contained and use it wisely. Because I'm certain you don't want to get out there and be faced with another emergency, and that's a wild forest fire. Now, some additional tips. You want to have first aid knowledge. Basic first aid knowledge can be life-saving. Know how to treat cuts, bites, or other injuries. You want to improvise or improve on your navigation skills. Familiarize yourself with natural navigation techniques like using the sun or the stars, understanding how to read the terrain, or using a compass effectively. Emergency contacts. Always inform someone of your itinerary before heading out into the wilderness. If you have a personal locator, PLB, or a satellite phone, carry it. Now, by expanding on these topics, you can provide yourself all the safety and security that you can possibly have if you found yourself lost. Lost in the woods.
Well, I hope you found this video helpful. So if you ever find yourself lost in the woods, hopefully you can remember the great advice that you picked up here. Until next time, I wish you all blessings and blessings. Shalom.